Hello, my name is Trisha, and tonight I will be sharing with you the first digital artwork I've created on record. Now, I've been drawing digitally since kindergarten. I was a Microsoft Paint expert, but I lost all the files to that, so this is the earliest one I can find. I made this back in 2016, and before I begin with my redraw of this, I would like to critique my own work. Now, I think this is an important skill for artists to share how to critique themselves and their past works, but remember that critique does not equal to self-doubt or self-deprecation. I know that we tend to look down on ourselves a lot, and we think that is a form of criticism, like constructive criticism, because it'll force us to work harder. However, self-deprecation really takes a toll on your mental health and how you think of yourself. So remember to be constructive and do not be too negative towards your past self, because your past self was just starting out and learning how to do things. So let's start. Let me just give the specs of this drawing. I made this back in May 2, 2016. I only used my finger, and it was in a Medibank paint and an iPad 2, so a very long time ago. And I would say that the face is very emotionless. Now we can see that she's crying. However, her eyes, they don't tell me why she's crying. They don't like make lines or any of that. If I made some lines on this, I would feel more emotion. And the eyes, the eyebrows I mean, they are not as arched as I would like it to be, and not like the Nike arch, but it shows more emotions. And also the lack of lines, man. Lack of lines. I noticed that with a lot of beginner artists, they don't focus that much on the lines on the face because they want to look picture perfect, and that's fine, but as time goes on, you'll realize how important facial lines and wrinkles make an artwork more impactful. Also, the shading is kind of bad. I only used airbrush for shading everything, and I don't think it's a bad thing, but for this artwork, I did not execute it well. And also her boobs. What is this? They look like lumps, and if someone has boobs like this in real life, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to body shame, but how I executed it is not great. I think it's because the boobs I've seen in art, they're usually like the anime style boobs, like that. And I wanted to make it a bit saggy because that's really how boobs are like in real life, but it's too out here. I don't think there's anyone's boobs facing forward whose boobs are too out on the side, you know? Because if it's out on the side, then there will be a nip slip on the armpit. We don't want that. And also, there are some lines here that are not filled up properly, and there's no definition of shadows. So a tip that I can give is to go grayscale and see if there's any contrast. And here, there's barely any contrast here except for the hair, the blue side. And also, I like that I was going for like a half and half kind of thing, but I feel like I abused it too much and I don't know where to focus anymore, except for this part here with the hair, like just the hair. Also, the colors are too dull. I think I was going for a pastel look, but it just looks kind of mismatched. So let's get on with the speed paint, and I will get back to you voiceover style. Let's go.
Alright, so here are some art tips I would give to my beginner self, and that is first, be loose with your lines. Now, it's common for beginners to have stiff lines and not to use that much line weight. Line weight is basically when some parts of the line are thick, some are thin, and some are just broken lines, meaning they don't meet up. And that's normal in the beginning because you're still getting used to drawing lines and drawing in general. However, you should know that it's okay to have some broken lines and for some lines not to be as smooth looking or consistently weighted, because those mistakes, it can add more dimension and it makes the whole piece look more interesting. However, you do have to use it strategically, and that comes with time. And you can increase your skill level in this by drawing different lines multiple times as a warm-up. So you can play with different line weights, you can do spirals, you can do different angles with how you draw the line, and all of that such. Next, I would get familiar with color theory. Now, remember in grade school art where you saw this very rainbow color wheel? Yeah, you need that for color theory. And color theory basically dictates what colors look good together. And I should emphasize that color is really essential in the aesthetic and the message of the piece, because colors are associated with different emotions. Let's say with Pixar's Inside Out, joy is yellow, sad is blue, disgust is green, so on and so forth. And there are 3 basic color wheels or color harmonies, which is complementary, analogous, and split complementary. Complementary are basically colors that are on the opposite ends, usually look good together. Analogous is when they are on the same side. And split complementary is 1 dot on one side and 2 dots on the other side, facing opposite to that dot. I will link some videos down below on how to get better with color theory because I think that is something beginners should know about. Next would be expose yourself to different kinds of media. You know that saying where nothing is original? Well, it is kind of true because artists get inspiration from their surroundings and what they consume, and sometimes unconsciously they take what they like about that media and put it into their own work. That is why movies, books, animation, photographs, artworks, comics, video games, social media, lot more are very prevalent in an artist's art style or in their life. Exposing yourself to these different kinds of media can help shape your art style and how you express yourself on the canvas, and can also give you ideas for what to do next. Observing different medias that you're not usually looking at can actually bring out more ideas. If you usually watch anime, you can try watching Western animation just to get a different perspective on how they do their work, and maybe you can pick up some things you like from that and put it into your own work. There's also a danger to exposing yourself to too much media, especially social media, because you can see the work of actual people in real life living. And this is my next tip. Don't compare yourself to others all the time. I'd say that observing others' works and using those observations to compare your work and to improve your work, they are really good traits to have, not only as an artist but as a person as well, to further your skill set. However, comparing yourself all the time to others puts so much pressure on you to the point that you will spiral down a hole of comparison and self-doubt, which can paralyze you into stop doing art. And that is not good. We do not want that. I admit, sometimes I go down that spiral as well, and it is not good for my mental health at all. And something I do to not spiral down that much is to take breaks from social media. Because I feel like with social media, you actually know the person who's making the work, or at least you know that person is just a regular old person that makes you think, wow, they are doing so much better than I am, and they're just regular people, while I am stuck here with my bad artwork. That's the beginning of a toxic relationship with yourself. So I'd take breaks from social media probably for like a week at least, or I try to time myself when I'm using social media and I just post on my stories without looking through my timeline, because once I get to that timeline, I am going down the spiral of comparison. And if you're also an artist and you also post online, you're worried about your engagement dropping because you're not posting on social media, you can schedule your posts on Instagram and Twitter. You can post new or old art depending on what you have available, or you can just post on stories and then leave the app immediately. Protect your mental health, fellas. Don't sacrifice it all the time for the sake of art. And lastly, I would like you guys to remember this last tip. Get messy, wild, and chaotic. Remember that not everything you do or create needs to be pretty and accurate to reality, because sometimes the most impactful pieces are the ones that don't look like any of that. And sometimes the studies that you do, they don't need to be accurate to the reference or they need to look perfect, because the point of studying art, doing art, is to learn and improve. So if you're making art just for yourself, don't worry too much about making it pretty, and just focus more on how you're doing it and how this can improve your skill set. And you can do that by doing something different with every piece of artwork you do or every sketch that you do. It doesn't need to be a big thing. It can just be small, like trying a new color palette, a new medium, new brushes, trying out new subjects. Instead of drawing women, you can draw men or animals, and trying out different compositions. You can also color outside the lines, or from color first and then to sketch, and on and on and on and on and on and on. I would like to end this reprint by saying that art is full of mistakes, and it all goes down to how you present those mistakes. You can hide them or you can honor them. It all depends on you, baby. So don't be afraid to make those mistakes. You can always learn from them. You can move on forward, hoping and knowing that you're gonna create something better or something that you will be satisfied with.
And here's the finished work. I'm very happy with how everything turned out. And when I look at this from side to side, there clearly is like a difference in improvement and in style. Literally everything changed within 21 minus 16, 5 years. Within more than 5 years. Dang. I will end the video now. I hope you like this video, and this piece will be up on Instagram and Twitter, so make sure to follow me on there, and I will see you next time.